Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining another session of Oracle Apex Office Hour. Today, we'll be learning about application features, new in 18.1. Please note that today's session is information only. You cannot rely upon today's material to make future product decisions. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Christina Cho. I'm a principal member of technical staff within Oracle Apex development team. I am based in Western Virginia. I joined Oracle about 20 years ago and joined Oracle Apex development team 17 years ago. My main work within Apex includes interactive report, SQL workshop, data workshop, web sheet, and create application and feature wizards. Okay. So in today's session, we'll learn what application features are with an overview, and I'll show you how you can create, add, and remove application features. And then throughout the demo, we'll look at some of the features in detail. And towards the end, we'll do Q&A session. So if you have questions for me, please feel free to post them on the chat. I'll be happy to answer any questions related to application features. And during the Q&A session, David will be helping me as a moderator to read out those questions that you ask in the chat. So please keep posting them and we'll gather those and review them towards the end. And also, as today's session is being recorded, please turn off your video if you can. Thank you. So let's start by asking you some questions that you can think about. I understand that not all the audiences in this session may be experienced Oracle Apex developer. However, if you created any applications before, you probably went through this experience. So the first question is, have you created useful features within an application? And since it was so useful, you decided to copy these functionalities into multiple applications. When you did this copy process, you discovered that it was time-consuming to clean up issues and adjust names and things like that. And since you refined this useful feature, you wished all the developers in your organization coded similar features consistently. And you repeatedly built this useful features such as feedback, for example, access control, or activity reports multiple times over and over again across multiple applications. If you said yes to any of these problems, application features are for you. We created application features based on building packaged application experience. As we were building packaged applications, we discovered that there are many common frameworks that's useful across multiple packaged apps. Before application features were available, in order for us to implement these functionalities, we had to copy these features one by one and repeat multiple times. As we were doing that, it was cumbersome because it involved more than just a resume or page. And sometimes, instead of using standard way, we ended up creating these functionalities differently across multiple packaged apps. So from this experience, we took out all of these common features that is very useful to put it in across multiple apps from the packaged apps. We refined all of these features multiple times and created application features in 18.1. So the largest gain you gain from using application feature is low code and increased productivity. It is easy to build complex functionality without much code. It also takes away the focus from the framework. so you can spend more time on meeting the business needs. And also, all of these applications features have been tested by our QA team. It is ready for you to use. So hopefully by end of the session, you learn what application features are and what is available in 18.1, so you don't try to reinvent the wheel again. Application features require universal theme. If you have an application with an old theme, the wizard will not let you create one. Features can be added from create application or create page wizards. Not only they can be added, they can also be removed. Features generate multiple page components, such as regions, pages, or share components. They are entirely contained within the application definition. This means when you export an application, all your application feature definitions are included within your application export file. Features do not create any tables, packages, or procedures either. Here are 6 different application features that are available both from Create Application and Create Page wizards. Here are 2 additional application features that are available from Create Page wizard only. So I'm going to show you all of these one by one. So let's create an application and let me show you how you can include application features within a new application. So let's go to the builder and let's create an application. I can define pages by page within this application, in this Create Application wizard. However, I am going to load from the blueprint I created previously. It includes report and form page on department and employees table. And right below the pages, you can see that wizard lets you select application features within this new application that you want to create. So you can select to include access control, feedback, theme style. However, for the purpose of this demo, I am going to select all of these application features. So let's create this application. It's creating the pages that I defined, as well as it's trying to create all of the application feature pages and components that belongs to it. So let's see. Okay, the application created. Notice that it created many different pages, and most of the pages belong to application features. Let's run this application. And let's explore each of these application features that we included from the wizard. So the way to view application features is you need to go to Administration UI by clicking on this menu. And when you go there, you'll see all of the application features that we included from the wizard, except the About Page Help. Let's look at access control feature first. So access control is useful if you want to give different privileges to different set of users within your application. When you include access control feature within your app, the wizard automatically includes 3 different roles for you, which are administrator, contributor, and reader. And also access control is enabled by default. This means if I share this application to someone else, and if that person tries to access that app, let's log in as different user, that person is blocked away from even accessing that application at all. So I am going to come in to the access control page. What I'm going to do is, since I trust that user, I am going to add that user underneath in my access control list. So let's add reader. You can give multiple roles for that user. However, I am going to only give reader privilege to the reader user. When the reader comes in, they can try to sign in again. Now, instead of getting blocked, that person can view that application. And when that person views this application, only thing he can do is view the application UI. He cannot any data in this table, nor administration UI is not visible for that person to access as he's given a reader privilege. So let's add another user here. And this will be the developer user. And I'm going to give contributor access for this user. When I do, I am going to sign out from the reader user and sign in as developer. Now, when developer who has the contributor access this application, that person can create the record or edit the record. And same is true for the employee's data as well. However, as he's not an admin, only a contributor, administration UI is not visible for them. So if you include access control, all these things are created for you from the wizard, including roles that's required within this application, and also enabling the access control and authorization schemes behind the scene that is applied declaratively among different components to completely control access of this application. All I had to do was I go into this user management UI and define all these usernames with assigned roles. So it was easy for me to implement. I didn't have to code anything. Another nice UI that access control feature provides is adding multiple users. So if you're tired of adding users one by one, you can upload spreadsheet data of multiple users and copy paste it here and give a role or roles and upload to this user management. Okay, so let's look at access control feature a little more in detail. Access control feature is not new in 18.1. We had this in previous releases. However, we enhanced access control to use declarative components in 18.1. Access control does not use the local table like it used to anymore. It is using built-in repository under shared components called application access control. You can manage your user access within this new shared component within the builder, as well as just what I showed it to you within the application. You can manage user access within the application as well. So let me show you how this access control looks like within the builder environment. When I go into share components, application access control, this is new in 18.1. This is where you define application roles as well as user role assignments. And this user role assignment is exact same interface where I use to add each different users to give different privileges. Another enhancement that we made within access control feature is you can assign multiple roles to a user. Before it was not possible. Each user had to have a single role, but now you can. The other interface that I just showed it to you, you can upload multiple users to a assigned role from the interface that Wizard provides, so it's easier to add users within access control. So this is a new share component that access control feature uses. And this is where you manage application roles and users. Let's go back to application access control again. Once all these roles are defined within application access control, authorization schemes can work together to build authorization schemes based on using these roles. So notice that all these authorization schemes got created from the wizard, and each of these authorization schemes are taking advantage of the roles to define user privileges. Once authorization schemes are created, all these authorization schemes needs to be declaratively applied to each of application components to fully control your application access. So that's how all this access control is working behind the scene, under the hood. The other one that I want to show you is if you have an application with access control feature embedded, when you are trying to export this application to different environment, we automatically include all of these roles that's defined within the application. However, by design, we do not include all these user role assignments. The reason that we did it in this way is because most likely you'll have different set of users in deployed environment. So we didn't want you to pollute your deployed environment by automatically including this information within the application export file. So it is encouraged that if you have an application with an access control feature, you need to define your user role assignments as needed basis. Okay. To support this new share component called application access control, we added another supported API called Apex ACL. You can use this API to add, remove, or replace user roles from the Pure SQL. As well, we added 3 different Apex views where you can get more information about roles and user role assignments. And especially application ACL users view supports direct DML, which means you can issue direct insert, update, delete statements on top of this view to get updated. And in fact, the user management UI we have that access control feature generates, when you look at this edit page, the page process to save that information is using that view. And that save process, instead of using Pure SQL process type, it's taking advantage of automatic DML process to update that view directly. Okay. The next new share component that we created to support access control and feedback is application settings. Many applications need some type of configuration to store different data across different environments, such as storing report server URL or access control configuration between test, development, or production. Before 18.1, you probably had to create a configuration table on your own and created an API to set and get those values, but you don't have to do that anymore. In 18.1 with this new share components. You can use application settings to store your application configuration parameters and values. So let me show you how that looks like under share component. When I go to share components, application setting is a new share component we added in 18.1, sorry. And as you can see, access control feature and feedback feature already uses this. And when you go and edit one of the application setting values, you can name them, give a value, and on top of that, there is an attribute you can set to keep the value on upgrade. This is very useful if you're designing this application in development and ready to upgrade the production version. If you don't want to overwrite the production application setting value, you can set this yes and then import it over. Then it'll be never overwritten, and it'll preserve the production application setting values. There is also another supported API we added to support application settings. You can use Apex App Settings API to set and get application setting values from PL/SQL. There is another feature called feedback. We enhanced feedback in 18.1. This is not new in 18.1. We enhanced feedback a lot on the user feedback UI. So let me show you how that looks like. When a user developer clicks on feedback icon from the top navigation, the user sees simplified version of feedback UI compared to previous releases. That person can share their experience by selecting an emoji or entering short feedback comment. On top of that, if your instance team development file repository is enabled at instance or workspace level, feedback UI allows you to attach a file. This is very useful if users want to include a screenshot along with their feedback. However, the instance that we're using, team file repository, is not enabled, so I cannot demo this to you. However, I have a screenshot where I can show this. So this is how it looks like. If the file repository is enabled at workspace or instance level, feedback feature includes attachment item where users can upload an attachment. And as well, feedback settings menu gets included within the admin interface. So admins can go in to enable, disable feedback attachment at application level. This is useful if admins are worried of getting workspace schema getting bloated by accepting feedback attachments. He can go in here and disable the feedback attachment. So let's go into developer account and submit a feedback. Let's say, let's request to change the application color to red since I don't like the blue. So let's submit the feedback. And as soon as you submit the feedback, nice confirmation saying feedback submitted message displays. And as an admin, when I view this application from the administration UI, feedback feature included user feedback management report. From here, the admins can review submitted feedbacks. Before 18.1, only way to review submitted feedback was to use team development. This is not true anymore. Feedback feature includes nice UI where admins can go in and review each feedback within the application. So this person requests to change the application color to red. So I am going to process this feedback. I'm going to take advantage of theme style feature we included when we created an application. When you click on theme style, it'll let you change application appearance by selecting different theme styles that gets included within universal theme. So here is an option for me to change to red color. So I'm going to select that and apply the changes. As soon as I apply it, the look of the application changed from blue to red. And when I inform the developer user to take a look and that person refreshes it, that same effect takes all over in general in that application. So let's move on to next feature. Accepting of feedback is very useful when you are developing an application and enhancing that application. However, when you're ready to deploy that application to production, having that feedback enabled may not be appropriate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this feedback by taking advantage of configuration features. Within configuration options feature, it'll let you enable, disable application features that is included within this application. However, I'm only interested in disabling a feedback, so let's disable feedback from here. As soon as I do that, feedback manage UI, which used to appear on the right side, is gone. I cannot manage any submitted feedbacks. And notice the developer who used to submit a feedback, when that person refreshes, the submit feedback is gone. That person cannot submit a feedback anymore. This configuration option is really nice if you're not ready to remove this application feature completely from the application, but you just want to hide the functionality from the user. You can go in here to hide certain application features. Next application feature that I want to review is the activity reports. Activity reports includes multiple useful reports regarding application activity. So for example, as an admin, I can go in to view top user to see top users report to see who's most active within this application by hour or minute. If I want to visualize by viewing the pie chart, this is possible as well. If I'm worried if any of my page had any errors or any application had any errors, I can go in here to application error log report to view that information. And notice that there's a one record that shows up when reader tried to access this application when that person didn't have an access to it due to access control feature. This error message shows up in the error log report. If you're worried about your application performance, you can go in here and view each page by page to see which page took the longest to render and monitor the application. If you go to the dashboard, it gives nice summary view of your application activity, and you can change into different time frames to see more aggregated values over an hour. And overall, exact same report that we viewed one by one is summarized within the dashboard. So I've shown you how you can create application features within a new application. But next one, let me show you how you can add application features to an existing application. So let's go into the builder. And I do have a main application. So let's try to add application features to an application with an old theme. When I view this old theme, it's not looking as nice as universal theme. However, I decided to add application features to this. And the way to add application features is you need to go to Create Page Wizard. And within Create Page Wizard, it is divided between component and feature. And when you click feature, this is where you can add application features. Notice that since I'm using old theme within this application, it is warning me that I cannot add any additional features unless I upgrade by universal theme. But if I ignore this, the wizard will block me away from proceeding to the next step. So it's not letting me to add any of the application features. Let's go to an application with a universal theme then. So let's go in here and notice if you view this application, only application feature I included is activity reports. Let's try to add a feature here. Let's go to Create Page Wizard again and select the feature. Let's try to add that exact same feature that exists already within this application, which is activity reporting. When you click on it, the wizard is preventing you from adding another activity reporting feature. So each application features can be added one by one. The wizard will not let you multiple ones within that same application. So let's try to add another different one, not activity reporting, but this time let's add a feedback feature. And when you look, most of the feature wizards ask for starting page number instead of a specific page number. The reason for this is because it's generating multiple pages behind the scene. So I'm going to just take the default, and it also asks for administration page because there are some admin UIs that wizard generates. So you can choose to create new admin page or select existing one. Since I have existing admin page already, let's select that and create. Now when I run this application, notice right below the activity feature, feedback interface shows up, where as an admin, I can go in and review the feedback. If there's a user who wants to submit a feedback, they can click on this feedback icon on the right to view user feedback UI. Okay. Another application feature that I want to show you in the Create Page Wizard is additional features that we only include within Create Page Wizard only. So one of it is the email reporting feature. When you click on this, it asks me page number and admin page as well. So let me select existing admin page. And let's run this report to see what it looks like. So email reporting is added. And when you view this, it gives me information about all the emails that was sent within this workspace. So this is very useful if you have an application with interactive report subscription, or if you have an email interface where you send an email within your application. You sometimes wonder if all of these emails have been sent okay, or if it had an error, or if they have been queued up. You can create this report to monitor all of the things related about email. Next one I want to show you is another feature that's only available from Create Page Wizard is the database job monitoring. This option is only visible for you to select if your application schema owns any of the database jobs within the database. So I happen to have some database jobs owned by my application schema. So it is displaying for me to choose that. And once you come into the wizard, it lets you select the existing jobs that you want to include within your report that you're about to create. So I am interested in only these top two to get included within the report. And let's select admin page again and create. And when I run it again, there is a link from admin page where I can view database job reporting. And this job reporting gives nice overview information about the jobs that I selected to include within the wizard. So let's see. So these are the 2 jobs that I included from the wizard. And you can see that you can see detailed information about this job, whether it has been disabled or enabled, if it ran fine or not. And there are additional columns within this report that you can select to display. But by default, most columns that make sense for us are added by default. When you click on job name, you can get more information about that job in detail. And same as in the parent report, you can select additional columns within this report to get displayed. Okay, so far I've shown you how you can create an application with a new feature, add application features to an existing application, and let me show you the last part. How can you remove application features within an application? So let's go in and show that. But before I show you how you can remove application features completely from the application, let me go over what build options are, because this is important. Build options can be declaratively defined within shared components. They can be enabled or disabled, and build options can be associated with many components within Apex. Build options are often used to hide new features that you worked on, but they're not ready for use. And they act just like a light switch to turn on or off application functionality. All of the components that we generate from the wizard for application features, they're associated with a build option. So because of that reason, we enhanced build option in 18.1 to provide you a way to remove application features. So let me show you how you can remove application features. So let's say that I want to remove activity reports from this application. I am going to go to the build option, and build options are underneath share components within Apex. Notice that each build options for each application features are there, but I'm interested in going and removing activity reports. When you view the build option detail, right below build option information, there are associated components that belongs to this build option. And it gives nice information about it. And there's a remove associated component button. The thing that you have to remember when you remove application features, when you delete the build option before removing these associated components, it is not removing your application completely. When you delete the build option, all these components that are associated with it will not be removed and deleted. They'll just have a null build option value. So you have to remove these associated components first. And once that's done, you're ready to remove this build option completely to remove activity reports feature. Now, when I go to the admin page and refresh, activity reports is gone. I didn't use configuration options to show or hide. It's completely gone from the application. So let's summarize. Application features are for you. It'll help them help you to improve your productivity, development productivity. As you've seen from the demos, it is not hard to add all these complex functionalities. All I had to do was to take advantage of all of these feature wizards. So since you learned what's available within 18.1, take advantage of them. Do not try to reinvent what we have already in 18.1. And you don't have to get married to what Wizard generates. You can certainly change and customize, extend those pages that Wizard generated for you based on your needs. So that pretty much concludes what application features are. And I'm going to go into a Q&A session. However, before I take any questions from the chat, I do have questions, 2 questions already, which are asked. So I want to review those before I take any questions from the chat. So first question is, someone asked, is application access control same as authorization schemes? I understand that the name is confusing, but there are 2 different shared components. Application access control lets you add application roles and user role assignments. However, you need to still create authorization schemes using those access control roles to apply those authorization schemes one by one declaratively among your application components to fully enforce your application access. So they are not same, but they work one by one together to enforce access control within your application. Next question is rather long, so let me try to read it to you. When I export and import an application with access control and try to access administration pages, the page errors out with an authorization scheme failure. What am I doing wrong? So the question is really hard to understand by word. So let me simulate what this question means. Let's close some of the application. So let's go back to the application that we created from Create Application Wizard. Notice that we included access control feature here. And when you view the users, notice that we added 3 different users. When you're ready to export this application and deploy into a different environment, you need to go to Builder, Export Wizard, and export this application. Now, just to simulate that it's getting deployed in different environment, I am going to import exact same application within this workspace. But what I'm going to do is, instead of replacing the existing one, I am going to take a new application ID. So let's install this application. And when it's done, when I run this application, it's asking me to log in. So I'm going to log in as the admin user like I used to. However, it's erroring out. It's not letting me to log in with authorization failure. And this is what exactly the question means. And I've seen this behavior confuses a lot of developers. So I want to show you the reason behind this error. The reason behind this error is, if you go to this application, share components, and application access control. Remember I told you when you export an application, all of the application roles get included automatically within the export file. However, user role assignments are not, because we designed it this way. It is recommended that when you export an application with access control, you add these user role assignments as needed basis, because you'll have different set of users in the deployment environment. So what I'm going to do is, in the builder, I am going to add different user called super admin and give admin privilege. Once I do that, I'll come back to this application which errored out, and I'll log in as a super admin user. Now I can view the app as well as I can go into administration UI to do anything that I want within this application. Okay, so so I forgot to mention on that second question. So I added the user within the builder, but what if you are deploying exact same application in the runtime environment? You don't have a builder access. In order for you to fix that issue is you need to take advantage of Apex ACL package, which I showed in the slide. If you use that package to seed any user from application supporting objects, this problem will be solved for you. Okay, so those are two questions that I wanted to go over. Let's turn it to David so he can moderate some questions from the chat. David?
Thanks, Christina. So the questions that were coming in on the chat were about exporting the user ACL, which you just covered, about passwords, etc., which are related to the end users, not to the access control feature. We did have some questions on job reporting, and I'm just trying to find it now. Is there a way to include jobs created dynamically in the job report? So with the job reporting, what's that based on?
So let me show you the under the hood on that job reporting. Let's go back to the builder where I added. Let's go here, this app. And that job reporting, if you take a look at the query that it's using, it is actually using a dictionary view we provide. So let's look at that source. As you can see, it's selecting many columns, but this is the database dictionary view regarding the job. So if you created some job with a name, you can expand this list to include that job you just created to view that and monitor from admin interface.
Great, thank you. And I've got another question here from Hung. Can we have admin users add users? So can you just show them the runtime environment again, which is designed specifically for that?
Runtime environment. Oh, so if you only have a runtime environment and you don't have access to the builder, you can take advantage of this manage user to add another admin user. So admin 2 and give privilege of admin user in there. So you don't have to have one specific admin. You can have multiple admin users added to access this application using this UI.
And what about if you're using SSO?
If you are using SSO, so these users that we're adding, I happen to have an application with Apex Auth, and these are the Apex Apex users within the workspace. But this doesn't have to be really correlated with Apex users. If it's SSO authenticated application, the users can be added using SSO name in here. So
for example, you'd put your email address in here rather than admin.
Right, exactly. And my email can be added, and I can be any privileged user. This can be added. But since I am using Apex Auth, this user will not work. But if I convert it over to SSO, it'll work.
Great. And I noticed there that you actually gave yourself there 2 roles. What does it take the highest role, or is it, why would you add more than 1 role?
Yes, so it takes the highest role. So if you're an admin and contributor, you can do anything that admins can do. And the nice thing about setting the multiple roles to a user is you don't have to have multiple user name list to have exact same user having admin as well as a contributor privilege. You can just add that user all at once to have both of these privileges applied.
Okay, and can you add in your own roles other than administrator, reader, and contributor?
Yes. So the way to add additional roles is that interface that I showed it to you underneath Builder Share Components. And under Application Access Control, that's where you define application roles. And you can add additional roles called guest and create it. And then you can use this role in authorization schemes to see what they can do. So each authorization scheme uses different roles, but guest right is not defined here. So you probably want to define your own guest rights to do specific things only within your application and use these authorization schemes from the components that you want to block that user from.
Okay, so thank you very much, Christina. That I haven't seen any more questions come in.
Okay.
So thank you again for your session today. And don't forget, there will be another Apex Office Hours coming up very shortly. If you just go to apex.oracle.com/office hours, you'll be able to see all the details of the next session, which will be another beginner session. So thank you everyone for joining, and a recording will be available in a day or two. And that concludes our session for today. Thank you, everyone.